Let's hop into some more scary tales here at Shanclen Shadow Productions. Aho. Welcome back to another episode here at Shanclen Shadow Productions. Now, before we get started, as always, if you're enjoying the content here at Shanclen Shadow Productions, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Turn your notifications to all so you guys don't miss any content that gets released here at the channel. And as always, welcome to the Clen Warrior Nation. Oh. So today, since this is Halloween month, I decided to share a little story of my childhood back when I was a child. So in this story, it's gonna be more so going back in time to when I was a kid during Halloween time. And what I was always told as a kid was, especially in our traditions, is that we're not really supposed to celebrate Halloween. We did, but it was some of those times, especially in the early stages of us learning our ways, learning our traditions, not really our traditions, but as far as for ghost busting, I guess you can say. We didn't really go ghost busting because we stayed inside Halloween and in the early stages because we were told that actual spirits may be walking around in some of those costumes, which is very creepy and something that very creeped me out, especially during one Halloween when I was very young. So for those of you who do not know, I grew up in a very small border town, but in my childhood, in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, everyone participated in Halloween. Yeah, you had a couple houses that didn't really care for it, that didn't really do anything. So in elementary school, I would have to say about maybe 4th or 5th grade, we always had Halloween competitions, Halloween costume competitions. Not really a competition, but like the school would allow you to dress up and go to school in your costume. And pretty much every single year I was either a ninja or a stormtrooper or Darth Vader. Yeah, so, you know, very creative on my part. But I went to school that day and it was cloudy, and the place we used to live at, which was the haunted house that we lived at, it wasn't too far away from the elementary school that I grew up in. So yeah, I used to walk to school every day. One of my good friends used to come by every morning and be like, "Hey, you ready for school?" And him and I would go walk over to school. And we were walking to school this day. I had my ninja gauntlets on. I was all cool. They didn't allow any weapons or anything. And of course they were plastic, but still you couldn't bring them to school, which I think is stupid. But anyways, we were walking to school, nice and cloudy, and it was just the perfect vibe and set for spooky season. Now, when it came to Halloween this certain year, when school ended, we walking back home, and the sun begins to set around 6 o'clock, 6:20. So school ended around 3 o'clock. So we would get home, eat some food, get ready, and the moment you start seeing trick-or-treaters outside is the moment that you are able to go and trick-or-treat. So my older brother and I and my little siblings used to go out and go trick-or-treating. My older brother would go with us because he started his trainings to become a ghostbuster, I guess you can say. And I was still a little bit too young to be able to go with him and assist him, but he would always kind of creep me out whenever he would tell me stories. He's just like, just be careful, because don't talk to anybody if you don't know them. Don't do this, don't do that, and just in case if a spirit shows up and wants to speak with you or try to lure you away. So as I was walking, little me down the street, sun starts going down, street lights turn on, and you see all these people kind of walking around. And then I was pretty big, but still at the time I wasn't as tall as I am now. So I would be looking at these people, be dressed as a ninja, walking around, and I would kind of see people kind of start to stare and look. And of course I'm wearing a costume, but they want to see my costume because of course it was really cool. And as we were walking down, I saw this guy. He was, I would have to say, a normal sized adult. and was walking around kind of freaking out, scaring kids, and he was dressed up as Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he was kind of just walking up and down the street, freaking out kids and stuff, until he came and he walked up to me, and I was looking at him, and my brother, he was walking up and down the street. And so I waited at the sidewalk because I wasn't really too much into getting candy at the time. I was just kind of there standing around making sure my sisters were okay. And they went up to go to this house to grab candy. But this Leatherface man came up behind us, and I didn't even know it. And he was there, stood over me, behind me, and I kind of felt a presence there. I turned around and looked. I gasped. I freaked out. And he was there, and he freaked me out. And then he was just kind of just looking over me and standing there looking down at me. And I was just like, hello. He didn't say nothing, which is very creepy. And so I was just like kind of nervous, laugh like ha 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 ha. And then my sisters finished up that house, and then we start walking over toward the next house. But he didn't move. He was kind of just standing there in the middle of the road looking at us as we walked away, which was kind of very creepy. And so he didn't move for 2 houses. By the time we got to 2 different houses, he was still standing there. So we're just like, okay, this is kind of creepy, so let's go ahead and just go down the next street over. And sure enough, we started walking down some more houses, and we're like, okay, you know, we finished up this neighborhood, maybe we can go to a different neighborhood to see what's going on. So at the time, my mom and dad, they were handing out candy at the house too as well. And we ended up going into my mom's vehicle. We called her up and she picked us up, and then so she took us to a different neighborhood inside of this town. And so we're driving around, got a little bit more candy here and there, and we started making our way back over to our house, because I would have to say it's around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So around that time, that's when everybody finishes up handing out candy. Now the thing is when we were trick-or-treating and walking around, I would just kind of begin to imagine but also sense things. Just because I grew up in a haunted house, I kind of started to be able to notice certain things about spiritual beings, shadows, and stuff like that. But when it comes to people, and whenever they wear masks sometimes like that, what I've come to find out is sometimes that these people can be possessed by, whether it be a short moment in time throughout the years of trick-or-treating and hearing people's stories about people just like losing themselves for some reason, split second. And in our traditions and teachings, we're not supposed to wear masks, like full face masks and stuff, just because of that very reason. Is because in our teachings, in our ceremonies, whenever we don on masks for our ceremonies, you in a sense embody that spirit, and sometimes that spirit comes and takes over your body for the ceremony. And spoken to a lot of people who do participate in those ceremonies that they kind of just snap out of it, and they're just like, whoa, you know, like that was a crazy trip. They're like, I just took a back seat while I kind of let that spirit do its thing, for the ceremony, the dances, and all the stuff that goes with it. I just threw off my shooting range headphones. Sorry. So with that thought in mind, I would just be very vigilant when it came to seeing and sensing spirits and people too. And when we arrived back at the house, we got out of the car in the vehicle, and I was just kind of curious, and I was just wanting to see if there's any more trick-or-treaters still walking around. And I go to the street and I look right, and there's not really anybody, a couple kids here and there. And I look left down that road where that man was with the Leatherface mask, and he was down there still. I don't know if he lived down that road or anything, but he was kind of just standing there. Almost looked like one of those movies from those Halloween movies with Michael Myers, just kind of standing there in the distance. And I was like, what the fuck, this is kind of creepy. And so we ended up going back inside of the home and our house, and we're just like, okay, cool, getting our candy, started sorting it. My mom had us clean the candy. They looked at the candy and make sure there's anything crazy in there. Sorted our candy, cleaned it up, got all dressed, ready for bed, and had a lot of fun. But right when we're about to get ready for bed, we're all sitting around the table just kind of munching on some candy. Heard a knock at the door. We're just like, it's almost like 10 o'clock and there's still trick-or-treaters around. So we go to the door, we look through the peephole, and we don't see anything. We're just like, yad. So it was probably just some ding-dong ditchers. And so end up going back to the table, and then we hear it again, but this time it was pounding on the door. And my mom, she got mad. She's like, what the fuck? So she gets up, she goes to the door again. There's no one there. And so that's when we kind of started sensing something a little bit weird and mischievous about this whole thing. And she kind of stood there, and then she kind of walked away. And then that's when I got kind of curious, and I looked through the door again. And I looked through the peephole of the door, but it knocked again. But there was nobody there, and it freaked me out because I felt the door go, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? I told my brother, he's just like, go turn off the lights. So I turned off all the lights in the house. And he's like, this is when the spirits are starting to come around now. So living inside of that haunted house with some outside haunted stuff trying to get into at the same time was very creepy. And so like you can there was no really place you can feel safe when it came to some of these spirits showing up and kind of freaking us out. So we ended up lighting like some candles in the house, and we're just like, okay, well maybe this won't show light, maybe this will let people know that we're asleep. And so we ended up burning some sweetgrass, putting it throughout the whole house, putting some ash and tage on, and sure enough, not too long after, started hearing knocking on the windows too. We're just like, fuck. But sure enough, not too long after that, the knocking and everything stops. Kind of growing up in a house like that, you get used to stuff like that. So the spirits know and understand it's spooky time, so they wanted to freak you out. And as long as they don't come busting through the door or doing anything crazy like that, just let them be. So fast forward a couple years later, I'm living on my own inside of Denver, Colorado. And over there, they had a very scary haunted house over there. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like a place called like the 13th Floor, like one of those big commercial haunted houses. And in Denver, it was like North Denver, they had this place. It was like in a warehouse yard. And I forget the name of it, but it was very, very creepy place. It was almost, they had ghosts, they had zombies, and the sets were very awesome and amazing. And when we were going through there, I was scared. Yeah, I was pretty kind of seasoned going through the whole thing. I was nervous. And the biggest thing was like my muscle reflexes. Whenever something or somebody would jump out, it's just like, want to punch right at them. And so I had to kind of just keep my hands in my pockets and just like, whoa, oh my God, kind of freak out. But what really freaked me out about this place was there was a certain section that had a really long hallway, and it had flickering lights throughout the whole thing. But guess who I saw at the end of this hallway? It was the Leatherface Man from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The thing is though, about this one, yeah, I know it's a popular costume. Yeah, I know this and that. But this person had the same body shape, the same height. And this, I forgot to mention that on this person's costume, they had a Winslow Bulldog, like kind of like a little patch on their overall vest. And so for those of you who don't know, Winslow Bulldogs is our mascot. We're the Bulldogs. He had that patch on his overalls standing at the end of that hallway too. And I freaked out for a second. Like I turned and looked at my brother, and I turned and looked back, and he was gone. And I was like, what the fuck? So I started going down the hallway, and sure enough, it was like a zombie theme. So like, even if it was an actor, he wasn't in this area, supposed to be in this area. There was like another chainsaw area that was like further away. But the thing is that he had that bulldog patch, and I was all the way in Denver, Colorado. Winslow, it said like it's with the bulldog symbol on there, and I was like, what the fuck? I freaked out, told my brother about it. And he explained to me that when it comes to these haunted attractions, when it comes to these locations, spirits do like to show up and freak you out. Almost like the Gauntlet video I told you about. some of those spirits like to come scare you because they get a thrill out of it. They get energy from it. Sometimes there's dark and evil things that do show up at these locations too. So if you're planning on going to a haunted house or haunted location, just put a little bit of ash on yourself and, bless yourself before you actually go in, because some of these places actually have dark beings inside of them, which is going to lead to another cool video that's going to be coming up on my Shanclen Shadow Lodge video. Is I'm going to be going to a haunted house. It's going to be like a little vlog with my siblings and my loved ones. So you guys are excited for that? Go subscribe to Shanclen Shadow Lodge, and it's going to be fun, awesome, and amazing. So those are some creepy stories of when I was a kid, growing up in kind of like a spiritual household, but also wanting to be normal and enjoy Halloween, but also dealing with spirits and not dealing, but experiencing spiritual beings on their creepy month and holiday. And a lot of people, they ask, they're like, yeah, well, what's the Native American significance between Halloween? For us, October is our new year, and also this is the beginnings of the change of seasons, so it's a very spiritually active time. A lot of people say that this is I guess you can say thinning of the veils month, especially transitioning of the spirits from summer to fall. And they come in, they kind of do their ceremonies, they do their thing. We have our ceremonies too that we do at this certain time as well. So a lot of spiritual beings come around too. So as well as when it comes to other people's cultures and customs too, those spirits come along as well. So they bring along their spookiness as well too. So it's honestly really creepy. And Halloween on the reservation is very scary too. Like, unless like you live in like a little town-ish area, you kind of got to drive a little bit to go to where, NHA housing or any kind of housing development there is on any small towns. Like if you go to Pinon, you go to, Delcon, you go to Crown Point, you go to Burnside, any of those places, you got to go to those main towns to be able to go trick-or-treating. Or you come to a border town like Winslow, you do your trick-or-treating there as well. And also there's also like some places on the reservations to where they have haunted houses in the canyons and stuff like that. So it's really creepy because like they actually get like chainsaws. Like they don't have the blades on them, of course, but they chase you around. They do like really creepy things out there. I've never been to those just because I know there's probably going to be, just from my experiences I've had at a normal non-indigenous haunted house, that if I go to the ones on the reservation, there's probably going to be like some Yanny or Skinwalker showing up, and then we got to actually brawl out. But yeah, so just whenever you're walking around this Halloween, be careful, be safe, especially if you have little ones. Look after your little ones. Check your candies because some of them may be poisonous. And yeah, one year I actually did find a razor blade in an apple. So be careful out there. And some of the spirits out there may want to take you too into the spiritual world. So if you guys see a Leatherface with the Winslow Bulldogs patch out there too, punch him in the face for me. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But that's going to go ahead and wrap up my tale that I have for you guys coming up. Preparations for Halloween and some of my haunted, creepy experiences I've had growing up here and in the family I have too as well. So there's going to be investigation coming up as well for the second channel for some channel updates. There's also going to be a haunted video game that's going to be played. I'm going to be playing a horror game that's going to be going up on the second channel. So if you guys haven't, go subscribe to Shanclen Shadow Lodge for that video. As well as what else? Yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can hold a special event, maybe a live stream on Halloween night. So that's gonna be very cool, very awesome. And if my siblings don't want to go trick-or-treating with me again, maybe I'll just do a live stream. And yeah, stay tuned, everybody. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Turn your notifications on so you guys don't miss any postings or videos, live streams coming up on this channel too. So go follow me at Clen Warrior SSP, Clen_Warrior_SSP, and go follow my second channel, Shanclen Shadow Lodge, my TikTok at Shanclen SP. So with that in mind, sweet nightmares. And if you guys have any creepy tales of Halloween and things you've experienced, leave it down in the comments below because I want to hear, and I want to hear them too. Those are very, very creepy. So many blessings to you all. Hope you all have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Go. some coffee. It's getting cold. Went and had dinner with my auntie the other night. She asked me, what am I going to dress up as for Halloween? I would just take my armor and just walk around. It's pretty scary. No, it's not. I'm excited for Halloween. A lot of good content coming up. Who?